welcome back. My name's Molly. I'm the founder, owner, operator, everything for Lacquer 22, a small nail polish company. But today we're talking makeup again. So I thought, what is a better way to ring in the new year than ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes that came out that I tried last year? I think the number is 17. I could be very wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 17. We'll find out here in a second. I'm gonna basically start from least to best and kind of give you my thoughts on as to why these palettes are ranked where they are, what's good about them, what's bad about them, what I like, what I don't like. Let's do it. All right, so starting in number 17, the very last place. This makes me really sad. I said it a lot in the video that I posted showcasing this brand and the palettes that I bought from them. I really wanted to love the brand. They are Austin-based, small business. I love me some Texas business, especially when it's fun and kooky and makeup and beauty. So this is Gourmande Girls. This is the Haunted palette that they did in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny. I feel like this color story had so much potential. The problem is really unfortunate because it kind of comes down just to one shade. Is this kind of couple, but majority for me is this shade right here. This is a really beautiful like bricky red, similar to one that I have on my eyes from a different palette that we'll talk about later. But this bricky red it's barely there. It doesn't show up. It doesn't give this color on my eyes, and it's really disappointing. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful. I don't love this shade right here because it's a satin. This one is called Spectral. They could have named any other shade that, any other shimmer Spectral instead, whatever. I don't love a satin. I'm really upset about this one. The other darker mattes don't perform as well as they could, like as well as many other brands could, and it's just a little upsetting. You know, I love eyeshadow. Eyeshadow is my favorite part of my makeup, and I was so stoked, and I love the Halloween theme on here, but I'm really disappointed in these mattes, and I am a matte girly. The other shimmers are really pretty, really beautiful, but those mattes just kind of ruin it for me, unfortunately. I'm sorry, don't hate me, I'm sorry. I hope to love other palettes in the future from Gourmande Girls. Number 16, we have a palette from Unearthly. So I tried a lot of Unearthly palettes this year that didn't come out this year, but that I got this year. And this one did come out this year, and I'm really sad about it. This is the Fall Magic palette. I love the inside. This is beautiful to me. However, I don't feel like this is the same formula. I haven't done my research and actually compared ingredients lists or anything. I just don't feel like it's the same. In my video that I did with this, I kind of talked a little bit about how disappointed I was with the shade right here called Earthy, sorry. And I used it again, and I still had trouble even kind of keeping it smaller and more to my eye shape instead of blown out like in my original video. I still just didn't love it. The shimmers were a bit better, but they're still not the same formula, I don't think, because these are much slippier. And I want to say silkier. Silky sounds like a great thing. I don't feel like it's all that great in eyeshadows personally, because I don't want them sliding around my eyes. I just don't feel like this is the same formula, and I feel like I'm the only one saying that. But I just don't know. I just don't know. This shade down here called Branch, I would love for it to be a little bit more impactful. I think maybe it's too toned down and too desaturated for it to work the way that I want it to, because this shade just kind of sits on top of the other shades instead of like deepening and smoking out the other mattes. Which, like, that's a personal preference thing, blah blah blah, whatever. But I don't know, I'm still upset that Earthy doesn't blend out very well. I have used the orange. That's not as pigmented as I would have thought it would be. I don't know. I'm just upset, and I think it hurts more because this is a much more expensive palette than I'm used to from them. And I just don't love it. I don't know. I don't like that I'm the only one saying that it feels like it's a different formula. Alright, next up we have the GlamLite and Ghostface palette. This one is not a quality issue. This is just a color story disagreement, let's say. These are all just very, very deep. Even the lighter transition shades we have, like, obviously it's a gray tone palette, it's monochrome, whatever, cool. I knew that when I bought it. I feel like there's a lack of looks that I can do from this, because it's either going to be light on the inside and dark on the outside, or it's just going to be all smoky the whole time. I don't know. Don't love it. Next on the list we have something very similar to Ghostface. It's still from GlamLite, but it's the Chucky palette instead. Crazy in Love. So this one is kind of in the same realm as Ghostface, where it's still really dark, but there's much clearer color differentiation in this one. The Ghostface, I really thought that there was a purple and a blue. Not when it went on my face, not when it went on my eyes. These though, you can tell the red. You can see that purple. And that just makes a little bit of a difference for me, especially when I am this pale. Like, for me, it comes across if it's a different color or not, like it is in this palette versus this one. Quality on both of these are still really, really good, but they just, I don't know, color story wise, they're not my favorite, but I should have known better when I bought them. Next, in spot number 13, this is the Nightshade palette from Gourmande Girls. I like this palette a lot more than I do the Haunted. The only kind of thing here is that, I don't know, like some of these lighter shades, so Hypnotic, Enchanter, and Belladonna, are all too light for my skin tone for them to show up properly. And then like this Black and Woody here are both teetering on the edge of being patchy. They still have quite a bit of pigment. It's a lot better than what the Haunted palette was, but these still aren't quite to where I want that pigment to be. This is going to be the last one from Gourmande Girls today, because I didn't really use the Spooked palette enough to rank it, so there's that. Next up is another palette from GlamLite. This is the Scooby palette from this year. I am gonna sound like a broken record because I have the same complaint that everybody else does. This is just huge. It's massive, way too big. I do understand them wanting to put the characters like on the background of the palette. However, there's so much wasted space. And honestly, even if they wanted to keep it this way, okay, whatever. They should have made the characters vertical instead of horizontal, because for me, it looks like each column is a grouping instead of each row. The way that they did this palette was that each row is a character in the gang, but they should have done it opposite, in my opinion, just to kind of group it a little bit better, because for me, going side to side, they're just too far apart for me to group them together and visualize that. There's just so much wasted space. They could have just put like a full picture of the gang right there or something instead. Quality here, really good. It's just that it's so huge. Next, we have another palette from Unearthly. This is from their large summer box. This is the Get Groovy palette. This is essentially a rainbow palette. I don't love rainbow palettes. I don't love the kind of lack of depth of rainbow palettes. However, the shimmers in here are ridiculous. I did a look that was, I want to say the blue and the red, and it made this really, really pretty kind of blueberry blue, you know, where it's a little toned down, a little muted, and I really like that color. The orange is really pretty. All the shades are pretty. They just aren't my favorite. Some of the mattes are also pressed pigments instead of eyeshadows, and I personally just don't love pressed pigments. They always perform differently, and I totally understand, like, sometimes it's just a wording issue legally, but other times it is a formulation thing, and I feel like this is a formulation thing because some of them are just not blendable, like, at all. And I don't love that, but it's really pretty, and the ones that do perform well really perform well, and the shimmers are ridiculous. It's just that overall it's not my absolute favorite of the year. In the 10th spot, we have our first Nomad Cosmetics palette. This is the Ghost Town USA palette. This was the Halloween launch for this year. I am very impressed with this. I think this was such a perfect theming and execution that they did. I love the cool tones. I love the grouping green, blue, neutral. I just feel like they really, really nailed it. My only issue here is that it's very similar. Like, it's all the groupings. Okay, we didn't need half and half mattes and shimmers because some of the shimmers will end up looking very similar. I've already said some of the mattes are too similar. I feel like they wanted to make, what is this, an 18 pan eyeshadow palette to match the Haunted Europe palette that they did previously, and kind of keep the Halloween palettes the same dimensions, and I appreciate that. However, I think it was a little unnecessary with this one. I think there were a couple shades that they probably could have thrown in here if they wanted to do that, like maybe add some dusty purples instead, or in addition. Maybe have like a pure white shimmer or something. I don't know, there were things that could have been different that I think would have made this a little bit more interesting. However, neutrals are not my absolute favorite, so I totally understand that this palette naturally isn't gonna be my favorite overall. I hope that makes sense. I really appreciate this. Every look that I've done, I felt really good in, and the quality is there. The color story, it's not meant to be, we'll say that. Number 9, we have Blend Bunny Lure. So this one, I really, really enjoy Blend Bunny mattes. Side note, the Machina palette that they just came out with, another level. I don't know if they changed the formula, but it was, oh my god, it was another level. Whatever. This Lure palette, first, I love this cover. It's like a glittery, scaly cover, and I think it's beautiful. The inside here, this is gonna sound really silly when I say it. Anytime I wear this palette, I feel like a mermaid, which it literally says 24 shades for the mermaid within right here. I'm not a mermaid girl. I've never really been. But they did what they were trying to do. I feel like a mermaid every time I wear this palette. However, I just don't really want to feel like a mermaid, so that's a little bit of a downer for me. However, this Black Sea shade right here is really, really beautiful. I love these blueberry blues right there. The shade Pearl up here is gorgeous. I really like the theming. They did a fantastic job putting the color story together. It's just not a color story for me. Next, this is my last not so favorite color story. This is also from Nomad. They came out with two neutral palettes this year. We just talked about the cool tone one. Here's the warm tone. I think this is really, really pretty, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I would not have bought it if it didn't have that green row right there. I really love this. This is so warm and inviting. I love that it's themed after a safari. I feel like that just makes such perfect sense for them to do. And I'll say it again as well, the zebra shade being striped, so smart. I feel like the mattes are really good, shimmers are pretty good, just overall it's a good palette. Next in number 7, this is the Unearthly and Heather Austin collab. This is called Resurgance. I first want to point out the crazy cover. I guess it's not really showing super well for you, but all those shiny parts on the beetles are holographic, and I love it so much. It's such a beautiful such a beautiful cover. When you open it up, this is what it looks like. I'm gonna hold it kind of sideways so the mirror doesn't get there, but it's supposed to look like that. I really enjoy this palette. I do wish that there were a couple of shades that were kind of act as transition shades almost, just because of how I typically do my makeup. These really bright shades are just so pretty and beautiful, and then most of the shimmers here are duochromes, and they're so fun. I don't get a whole lot of use out of this shade Life. Can you tell it's too late? I'm stuttering like crazy. The shade Life right here is more of a satin, and I just don't love those, but everything else is really pretty. This shade up here called Beetle is just a beautiful black with it's like a matte with glitter mixed in, which I don't love, but you can tap off the glitter and it's fine. I just feel like this is a really fun palette that you don't see this mix of colors very often, and I just think both parties did such a great job. It's really fun. I like it a lot. Number 6 is another Unearthly palette. This is the Devour palette. This was part of their Halloween collection. I think this color story is so much fun. I love the red and green mix. This lime green is just beautiful. These 3 shades right here are all a transparent base, so it just has that shimmer to it, and it's so beautiful. The other shimmers down here make beautiful smoky eyes. I really love this palette. I think it's so fun and creative. And I've said it before, but I was planning on doing a Venus flytrap collection with lacquer, and I couldn't quite figure out how I wanted to make that happen. I think I might have the ideas now that I've kind of tested some new formulas and such, but I really love the Venus flytrap theming. I love a Venus flytrap, and I think they just did a really good job at executing. Next is our only palette from Bella Beaute Bar. This is the recently Deinfluenced palette. I think this is so beautiful. This is fall in a palette. I love that like butternut squash kind of color right there. This forest green down there. All of these shades are so pretty. They're so pigmented too, the mattes. Shimmers are really nice. Almost all of them are those special shades, multi-chromes, duochromes, whatever. These 2 up here, Digital Zombie and Viral, are both transparent bases with that little kick of shimmer, which I really like. I just feel like they did really well, and I like how everything is kind of cohesive. I wish there were a couple of lighter shimmers, but other than that, it's really nice. I did buy Basic Witch on Black Friday, and I have that. I just haven't been able to use it yet, but I'm so stoked. If it's anything like this, I know I'm gonna love it. Number 4 is from Nomad again. This is the Royal Europe palette. Oh, this is actually what I'm wearing. I really love these jewel tones that they have. These jewel tone mattes are just so beautiful. And then this row down here are all multi-chromes. I think this is such a fun palette. I wish they did a little bit of a different shade, or maybe made these two rows, sorry, a little bit more obviously different, because this one is more of a teal and then this one's a blue, so I wish they kind of just went all out and made this a green instead. Is what it is. It's still really pretty, very pigmented, very beautiful, very blendable. The multi-chromes are super fun. These are the first ones in my collection. Very exciting. Today with my look, I did not use a glitter glue with the multi-chrome. I kind of wanted it to be more relaxed. of a look, and I really, really like how it turned out. I used this matte right here called Great Hall, and then Imperial Crown over here as the shimmer, and I blended out Great Hall just a tiny bit with, I'm not even gonna say it, this mustardy kind of color up here. I really like how it turned out, and I think it's super fun. Nomad has such amazing quality, and they've already done their poem for the new year, and I am so excited to see what they bring to us. We are down to the top 3. All of these top 3 palettes are from different brands, and I really love having such favorite brands that they are all just kind of going back and forth in the ranking. I love these brands so much, and I love that 3 different ones made the top 3. This was not coincident, or this was not planned. It just was a coincidence. This is how the cookie crumbles. It is what it is. Number 3 is from Blend Bunny. This is the Sugar and Grunge palette. This took me a second to get into, to be interested in, but once I started playing with it and just going in on it, I couldn't get enough. I really, really love the shades in here. I love that there's this gray row right there. You can kind of mute the other shades in the palette, and I love the looks. When you mix the grays with the purples, I love muted purple so much, and then doing the same thing with the blues, greens, and the pinks are just stunning, so beautiful. These shimmers are really nice. Blend Bunny, I think, is finally starting to settle on a shimmer formula that works well. In the beginning, shimmers just weren't their forte, which honestly, it is what it is. Shimmers are either very lackluster or very pretty, and I feel like there's never an in-between, so whatever happens is fine. But I feel like they're really starting to get that sparkle and shine in there, and it's so great. As always, quality is great. I love this layout from Blend Bunny. I just think they did a really good job. Next is the last palette from Nomad Cosmetics, number 2. This is the Verona palette. I'm not going to try to say the names in Italian. That will not work out well. So this is the Love and Death palette. We have this side over here is love, this side is death. I love the concept of this palette. I love the execution of this palette. The only thing that I will say is that so many of these mattes are so similar and look the same on the eyes, and it's kind of some wasted space. I feel like we could have done some different things, but whatever. I'm not on the creative team, so that is not, there's nothing I could have done. The shimmers I really enjoy. They have some really fun topper shades. Not everybody loves them, which is fine. I personally really enjoy them. I just really love this palette, and mixing both sides together is super fun. I just really love it. I'm not a huge fan of this double opening thing, but I will put that aside to see the actual contents of the palette. Last but not least, this is Spaced Out. This is from Unearthly Cosmetics, making the top spot for this year. This was in the small summer box. I am so in love with this color story. I am not positive on what it is about the color story that I love so much, but it's just so fun. I've done it before where you use one row as a look and the other row is a different look, and then mixing the green and the blue together and the peach and the gray. The shimmers in here are so pretty. There's a couple of duochromes, which we gotta love those. I feel like they did such a good job. This one is another eyeshadow and pressed pigment palette. However, I don't feel like the pressed pigment is the quality versus legal battle. I think it's more of the legal battle because every matte in here works fantastic. That is all I have for you today. I hope you have a fantastic day or night wherever you are. I hope you enjoyed the video. I can't wait to see all the new palettes I try next year. Let me know if you have any similar favorites as me and what you're looking forward to. I'll see you next time. Bye.